this.
Here we go.
We're here.
Hi, everybody.
Hi, it's still 2021. It's a Friday night.
And this is stayfhomekins.
Gummo weekend with it.
I'm Paul F. Tompkins.
I'm Jeannie Haddad Tompkins.
I'm a comedian.
I'm an actress.
We are a married couple in quarantine doing a podcast.
Pandemical podcast for your eyes only. For your eyes only. Remember Sheena Easton?
Of course. For your eyes only for you.
Oh my God, I loved her because she would take the morning train.
No, honey. Her baby would do that.
Her baby would take the morning train.
She didn't do shit.
No, she did.
She sat at home watching EastEnders.
What? First of all, is she even British? Is she?
I believe that she is, yeah. She might be Australian.
Oh, I think she might be your Australian.
So maybe she was watching Neighbours.
The slop.
This not the slop.
The slap.
The slap.
The slap.
The slap.
The
Did
slap.
you slap my child?
So this is the podcast. We don't really do anything.
No,
we don't
man.
really offer anything. We don't make anything. We don't. What's the? Oh, now I'm doing the monologue from Say Anything. I don't want to make anything. I don't want to go anywhere. I don't want to do anything.
Oh,
I don't want to manufacture any. This is not.
Man.
By the way, this is so far off the monologue that it doesn't.
I haven't seen that movie in such a long time. I have the
It's so
haziest
good.
memories of it.
I just assume it holds up because of Peter Gabriel.
Here's what I remember. Of course, I remember that scene.
Oh yeah.
I remember.
Oh yeah.
I remember. John Mahoney, the dad, when things are all falling apart, and he's sitting in the bathtub in his clothes.
What? I don't remember anything falling apart.
Yeah,
It was all about the kid and the relationship.
No, but the dad, like I know this guy's dad, played by John Mahoney, like he's been embezzling at work or something. There was some like scandal that he had.
He died kind of recently too, right? That actor.
Yeah, it's R.I.P.
From Frasier.
Frasier. Let's get back on track.
Sorry to bum you out, guys.
John Mahoney, Frasier dad, has passed away.
So yeah, I was kind of thinking about that, thinking about that monologue, I guess, but like also like, so the Breakfast Club's birthday was this week.
The Breakfast Club's birthday.
By the way, speaking of birthdays, I would love to shout out to my Aunt Peggy. She turned 90.
Oh shit! Yeah.
Happy birthday, Aunt Peggy. She turned 90. My cousins went and surprised her. I'm getting photos. I'm very sad that I'm not there.
I know, but
they're in West Virginia, y'all, and like it is like it's a post-COVID land there. They've all been vaccinated.
West Virginia is a post-COVID paradise.
They're all totally like fully like half my cousins and like.
Thank you, Joe Manchin.
My dad. No, it's their governor, Jim Justice, that weirdo, that rich ass weirdo.
I don't know much about him.
Don't you remember when we were at the Greenbrier that time? We went to the Greenbrier for the... Okay, y'all, let me just set the scene. Can I talk about this? Because that was amazing.
Yeah.
It was amazing.
Go ahead.
There's this resort in West Virginia that's like a fancy pants... white supremacy resort.
It's a famous golf hotel for rich white people.
I don't know. All I know is that, like, if you're from West Virginia, like, you grow up hearing about the Greenbrier because it's like a historical, like, it was like a. I'm going to mess all of this up. I'm going to mess it all up. I'm just going to tell you right now. It was like a hospital in the Civil War or something. It was like, you know what I'm saying?
Which side, though?
I think West Virginia was the good side, right?
Were they in the Union?
Or were they in the... Because they broke off...
I don't know.
Whatever. Who cares?
I judge the Civil War. If I'm not clear about it, I judge it by accents.
Was it a hospital in the Civil War? Or was it a hospital
the Greenbrier?
In some other war? Was there another war on our soil after that one? Besides January 6th? 2021?
Not that I can think that would have touched West Virginia.
Listen, all I know is there's stuff that is there. Like there's like bunkers. There's like bunkers.
Yeah, which have nothing to do with it being a hospital during the Civil War. That is, the Greenbrier has bunkers, underground bunkers
for
that
like
were for
Kennedy.
For the
or Nixon.
for elected officials.
Cold War or something.
The Senate, the Congress.
Look, y'all, I don't know what I'm talking about.
Why did you... You asked me... Hey, can I talk about this?
I didn't know I was going to go into that.
So quickly derailed.
By the way, okay, so we went there. Why was I telling the story that we went there? Do you remember? Oh, Jim Justice.
Jim Justice.
Because okay. Now I'm doubting all of this. Okay, so I had been there before for like coffee or something. You know, like you go and there's like stores there and you can take a tour of the grounds.
It's located in the Allegheny Mountains near White Sulphur Springs.
That's the other thing. Yeah, that's the other thing. The springs, the hot springs there was like, it was like a place to go to like, you know, heal.
It was opened September 25th, 1913, so it might not have been a hospital during the Civil War.
Was it nothing? Was it really not a hospital? By the way, I took a tour and I got the whole spiel and I have retained zero. I did take a picture where the sulfur spring, okay. So anyway.
The Sulphur Springs.
So I was like, Paul, you got to check out this place, the Greenbrier. It's real pretty. I've been there for coffee. When you come visit my family, let's drive down there and let's spend a night there. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
So we proceed to go there and have like the weirdest experience.
Yeah.
Of like, and like my cousin there's like some business thing going on there while we're there. Oh, and then my brother, who's like, he won't spend money on that. He stayed at the Hampton Inn, which is like right across the street or something. So my brother and sister-in-law there, and my dad, they all stayed at the Hampton Inn, and then they'd come meet us for drinks and stuff.
Here's what was happening. There was some business conference there.
There's a business conference there.
And we found out, I think, after we checked in, that Dick Cheney was going to be attending
and I was
thing.
like, oh my God, I felt a chill, like when I walked.
It's really weird because we checked in and then there's the staff is all black. It's all black people. Mm. You know, like
80%.
Like the
it depends on the type, you know.
The sort of front of house, like the people behind the desk are white folks.
Catering
and then,
on you feels like an old.
Yeah. There was like an older black gentleman who was in a uniform who was essentially like, you know, I'm your guy. You know, I'll take you here, I'll take you there, and
everything about it was weird.
It just felt really uncomfortable. Then we heard the Dick Cheney thing; it got more uncomfortable.
Okay, so anyway, and then my dad's like, "Yeah, there's this business thing." And you weren't there when my dad was like, "There's a whole buffet in that room," and we went and got like free coffee and cake. And
Janie's dad. What you must know is that Janie's dad.
Like we're
when
Lebanese.
He hears that there's a buffet, it's like a dollar sign in his eyes.
It's like we're Lebanese, and if it's like they're giving away free food, it's just going to go in the trash. Like we're not going to let it go. So,
even if you're not hungry, go eat the free food.
So anyway, so we're the only ones spending the night in and what's crazy is so
in
my
our
dad
group, yeah.
So my dad is from Boone County. I think we covered this before. Jessica White, Dancing Outlaw. That's not my dad, but that's the general area. Mm-hmm. And he went to he went to Greenbrier Military Academy, which was near there, which is like a defunct school now, I guess. Mm-hmm. And this is like, I keep going off on these tangents because it's like bringing up so many things.
I know.
So anyway, they still have like these class reunions.
Mm-hmm. At the Greenbrier.
Of the Greenbrier Military Academy. I don't know if they have them at the Greenbrier. Probably.
I thought they did it at the Greenbrier.
It's possible. But my point is there's this giant indoor swimming pool there. And that was like the swimming pool for his school, like back in the day.
And it's
in the
beautiful.
50s,
It's
like in the 1950s or whatever.
It's this incredible pool, and it's just beautiful to look at.
Yeah, and like I went swimming in it. Like I thought it was so cool because I'm like, oh my gosh, this is the pool that like my dad in his high school, like when he went to Greenbrier military. But my point is that when they would have these reunions where he would get together with his class, and they would do this one of those like those like photographs where they like you're a whole big group of people, like 50 people or 40 people, and the camera will start on the left side of the group of people and it'll pan to the right side so that it could get all of the people in the photograph. And then the photograph comes out and it's like a long, skinny rectangle.
Yeah, it's like a pano.
It's a pano.
Yeah.
Oh, that has a name.
Yeah. But they used to, so they used to, like, you never see this anymore. Like it's only in places like this where you see like a framed rectangular photo, like long rectangular photo.
Yes. So they would always take the class reunion photo, and my dad would start on one side, and then as the camera would pan, I guess he'd duck and run.
Yes, he'd run behind everybody
to the other side, so that he'd be standing and smiling on the left-hand side of the photo. But also, when the photo came out, he would also be standing and smiling on the right side of the photo.
And then it became like a thing. Like he did it every
time.
Year, right? Yeah.
It was like a thing. Anyway, so I was excited.
We did that in Iceland. I took a pano of you.
Oh, yeah, and I tried to do it, and I did, and we did it.
All right, I'll have to dig that picture up. I don't know.
Let's do it again.
How it's going to look on Instagram. It's going to be so, like a tiny strip, but...
You get the gist.
You'll get the gist, yeah.
Anyway, so we're staying in this hotel, and I think we were there, and Jim Justice's daughter...
Yes.
Was getting married on the grounds that weekend. And they were building this like new chapel. Oh, that was the other thing. Does he like own the Greenbrier or something? I think he's like a gazillionaire.
I remember it as him being the owner of the Greenbrier.
He's like a gazillionaire.
Yeah. So he was building a chapel, especially for his daughter's wedding, which was happening that weekend. Like it was going up in 24 hours or something.
Yeah,
it was something crazy.
Something crazy.
Yeah.
And so there was all this stuff going on the property that was like weirding us out.
Everything was gross.
And then they were like, this property is like really old, as you heard. It was like built in 1913. There's like bunkers there. And I guess if he is indeed the owner, he built like this underground casino.
Hold on. When we say underground, it's not like...
It's like the basement.
Yeah, it's not secret or anything.
But there's no windows.
Yeah, it was like they
but they
dug.
Didn't mess with the property necessarily. They just dug a tunnel under the.
They dug into the earth and they built a casino there.
That's part of the hotel now.
Yes, yeah. But when you go to it, you don't feel like, oh my god, we're going underground.
Right, but
you're going downstairs
because it's like a historic property, and they didn't like mess necessarily with what was on top of it.
Yes, with the above ground blueprint.
Yes,
right.
And so we were like, okay, because my dad and I like to gamble. It's like a thing. Like
they love it.
They go to Vegas sometimes, and I've met my dad. My dad and I play craps. It's like a thing that we have. It's like our thing, and so I was like, we got to go to the casino because we got to play craps at the casino.
Mm-hmm.
So we go down in there, and we lost like money. Not really. That was the other thing. We
lost like money.
We're not like great. That's like a thing. We're not like
we lost. How you say money?
We're not like amazing at craps. Like
you just have fun playing it. Yeah.
I have a strategy because I go to this website called the Wizard of Odds, and so basically like craps has like the best odds. Like if you're gonna play a casino game, it's like the best one. Or whatever.
If you must play a casino game, please play craps.
But like essentially, like you can like if you have a lot of discipline, like you can eventually win money in craps if you only like bet like the pass line and back up your like if you just like stay like the safest. But that's like the hardest thing to do.
Yeah,
because you get like in the thing and you're like, okay, I want to put money on crazy eyes or whatever. Whatever. I don't even know the names of the bets. And then my dad's like placing bets for the dice throw or whatever. Anyway, so we're going nuts, and and losing money. And this place is like fucking empty. Like, I'm not kidding. Like, we are like the only people with like 3 other like sad businessmen.
Dismal. It was
so empty. And they were like, I want to say like 30 casino tables unstaffed with no people. And so I was like, oh, my cousin's in the bar. Let's go have a drink with my cousin. And we're like having a drink with my cousin. And then like all of a sudden he's like, okay, I got to go. And we were like, why? And he's like, oh, at, I don't know, 10:15 on the dot.
Yeah.
They play what's known as the Greenbrier Waltz and do this like dance and show and we're like, what?
No, please let me take over from here. So we're sitting in this crummy casino. Like, everything's brand new. No one's there. And we're at the bar. At the entrance to the bar, because everything's sort of gambling themed. There's a lot of horse racing imagery.
I like the bar kind of. It had like a Britishy.
Yeah, except
in a Disney way. In a Disney.
There was at the sort of on either side of the sort of 3 stairs up to the bar, there were lawn jockeys that were clearly painted to be Caucasian.
Everything is upsetting there.
Everything's upsetting. So, and you're not allowed to take pictures.
I don't remember that.
Because it's a casino.
Oh, because of counting.
I got scolded. Yeah.
Oh, because you might count.
Yeah, because you might count cards. No one was there.
Yeah, the empty.
So at 10:15,
it's not spooky. It felt spooky.
It didn't feel spooky to me. It more felt like this is a failure. Which all failures are spooky, if you think about it.
I don't know.
Not everything spooky is a failure, but all failures are spooky. So. We're sitting there at the bar. Her cousin says, I got to get out of here before the Greenbrier Waltz starts.
And we're like, what the fuck?
And true to his word, he bolts. Like, it's 10:14. He's like, goodbye. So at 10:15.
I tried to get him to stay too, didn't I?
Absolutely.
I was like, come on, we want to see. And he was like, have fun.
Well, after he said that, of course I wanted to see his reaction to it. Absolutely. So he leaves and at 10:15 on the dot, someone appears at the top of the stairs and says, ladies and gentlemen.
What? How do you even remember this?
It is now time for the Greenbrier Waltz. Well, they don't announce the Greenbrier Waltz. I forget what they call them, but they introduce like these 2 young couples who work at the resort. I
think they passed out cheap champagne too.
They did. Yes.
Okay. Sorry.
They did.
I may have taken that.
And so, the guy introduces whatever the name was for the young Greenbrier people.
What were they called?
I don't remember. I wish I could remember.
The Greenbrier dancers or waltzers or the Greenbrier.
It was something like that. So these 4 kids in their 20s, you know.
Oh my God, love it. Like theater.
These 4 theater kids. Yes.
Students.
They're dressed up in like the gals are wearing these Scarlett O'Hara gowns with fucking hoop skirts and stuff like that. The guys are just wearing like rented tuxes from
I feel like they
Friar
had.
Tux.
Didn't they have like a morning like
no,
tails
they sure did not.
kind of
no,
thing?
They did not.
Okay.
They
in my mind, they were a little more.
I know because they should have been. I think your mind is filling in the gaps.
Like I'm imagining like more I'm imagining pastel colors.
No.
And there's
girls,
lots of makeup and curlers. Like
the women,
there was
for
like
sure.
a lot of like ringlet curls.
Yeah, the guys. It felt very high school. The guys were just in rented tuxes, and so they promenade down these 3 stairs, and they walk to the center. There's like a gazebo in the center of the room,
and they have on like those perma smiles.
Yes.
You know, like like
their mouths could not be drier, and they get to the center of the gazebo. And, you know, the same person that the town crier says, and now join us in a toast to the Greenbrier as we play the Greenbrier Waltz. And so we all toast. We take a sip of this shitty champagne. And the kids, they don't have glasses, so they have to hold up pretend glasses. They just mime glasses.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Wow, you have a great memory of this.
And then they do the Greenbrier Waltz, which is just some old, box step dance.
with like the arms, like the framed, the really stiff framed arms, and like, and the girl looking to the side, and then tilting her head to the other. Cuckoo.
That's right. It was cuckoo.
Because it is cuckoo, and then and like smiling the whole time, and then I think the guys like dipped the girls.
Probably. I mean, the whole thing was the dictionary definition of perfunctory, and then it was just over. And then I was trying to take pictures of shit, and the guy scolded me. Yeah, and then it was just over.
And then we were like, what just happened? And then we were like, okay. So then...
I don't blame your cousin for leaving. It was not worth staying for.
No, he would have not liked it. But like, okay. So this is the best part, is that we wander, we leave that area, and we're wandering around kind of the property now.
Which feels vast.
It is vast.
Yeah.
And it's kind of, like I'm telling you, it feels spooky. Like it's like an old place. It's old and haunted feeling and spooky. Like shit probably went down there. Like state secrets were probably sold.
It's a place for bad people, and bad people go there.
But I mean, I don't even know if that's all. Like, there's got to be more to it. I don't know. You're right. It's probably built on like Native American burial ground or something.
I would not be surprised.
Like, I don't know.
Yes.
So we're like wandering around, and we sort of end up in this other lobby, this other area, like totally like upstairs or something. And then
because we heard music.
We heard music.
And so we end up at this lobby. There's like in the center of the place, there's this grand staircase that leads up to the upper floors.
Yeah, like other area. Yeah.
And so we come out, we're like on the second floor.
And we're buzzed, by the way. We're buzzed.
Oh, yeah. Man, we were getting our drink on.
We had that cheap champagne, and I was like, I'm not letting this go to waste. This is free. I lost $100 at that damn craps table, and I was like, I'm drowning my sorrows. I'm going to make the most of this night that we have spent in this hotel.
Yeah. Janie's hammered on champagne, and we get to this, we hear this music, and we get to this lobby, and so we grab a table that's overlooking the landing of this grand staircase. There is, you see a grand piano, and then you see these two young people who are singing, but no one's accompanying them on the grand piano. They're singing to karaoke tracks.
They have a karaoke machine.
They are called Lewis and Clark.
They're obviously from the same theater school. Obviously, they're from the same.
Yes.
I don't think it was the same.
You don't think they're related to the Greenbrier Waltz people?
No.
Interesting. You don't think that Lewis and Clark is a role that anyone can fulfill? That would be interesting.
Well,
any two of them can be Lewis and Clark.
I don't think so. I don't know, but anyway.
I think that Lewis and Clark were their own entity.
So Lewis and Clark are like this young guy and this young girl, and they're singing.
They're clearly not a couple.
Right, because maybe one would not prefer.
Perhaps.
There might be.
But they never refer to themselves as a couple. They don't even acknowledge.
They're a team. They're like
a team.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. And I mean, their names are Lewis and Clark.
And so, and then they start singing like covers.
Yeah.
I mean, essentially like lounge. Like now we're in like a lounge vibe.
They're singing old songs for old people. Like
My Funny Valentine is, and the girl is like flirting with the husbands, and like
she's going around to all these old men, and everyone is eating it up.
Oh my God. People are delighted.
Love it.
People are loving
she's
it.
like what, in her 20s, and then she'll
she's
sing
got like
something
long red hair.
Yeah, she'll sing something sassy to one of these 80-year-olds, and everybody's like, oh,
and they're like, oh, and they like kind of titter clap.
It worked every
like,
time.
You know what I'm talking about? The little titter clap.
Yeah.
The little, oh.
It worked every time.
And like everyone, and I'm like, I feel like I'm in a fucking David Lynch show at this point. Like I'm literally like, this is a fever dream.
Now I would say that's very strong. These people were not like grotesque.
It wasn't the people. It was the place. It was the place, and it was the vibe.
Here's where I went with it. That I couldn't believe that this place, which costs so much money, makes so much money, they couldn't spring for a fucking person to play the piano.
Yeah. Well, because I think we were there on a weeknight. We did get like a reduced.
I don't care.
We got a reduced.
There's no excuse for that karaoke machine.
I was there and I was like ready because we were there for like 24, 30 hours or whatever. And I was like ready to do they give you a printed schedule of what goes on in the property. Like when you check in, like it's a summer camp.
Yeah.
It's like there's going to be a quilting exhibit at 7, whatever. And I got up early. That's when I did the tour. I went on the tour and I feel like I almost befriended some like disgruntled housewife that might have been about to tell me about wanting to leave her husband on the tour. And I was like very excited about that.
Of course.
But
you're going to get the hot goss.
But I wasn't like there long enough. And then, and of course I'm like I went roaming like through every corner of that place. Like I wanted to.
Janie has a real wanderlust when she's in big buildings.
And I grabbed a brochure. They sell properties there.
Yeah.
And I want to say somehow I Googled or found out like that John Travolta owns.
No, I think they had a list. I think they said like, here's the famous people that have property at the Greenbrier. And yeah, I remember that's the one I remember too is John Travolta.
Do you remember? I was like, what? I was like, what are these properties? Where do people live?
Mm-hmm.
And then this was like also right around when Instagram started being really popular. So I was very interested in Jim Justice's daughter's wedding because this happened after we left.
Yes.
So we saw the chapel going up and then we left.
We saw the chapel going up and we left.
But then I was like, I'm going to search the location like for the next 12 hours because I want to see. So I just kept like searching.
You mean you're going to look at the tag
on Instagram?
Yes.
And I found out that Lionel Richie performed.
That's right.
At the wedding.
Yes.
And then I got really pissed because I felt like we could have been like the Solano couple that crashed the White House. The Solanos. What is their name?
Wait, what was their
Sulani?
What the fuck was their name?
That could have been us.
Can you imagine?
And that the Sulaimanis.
Was that it?
Am I making this up? There was a couple that crashed the Obama
that's
White.
Not. It's the name that I'm not sure about, not the concept.
And I was like, if we'd stayed another night, we could have fucking partied and seen Lionel Richie. I just know we could have blended in somehow. Like I had been through every
Salahi.
The
Salahis. The 2009 state dinner.
I wanted to Salahi us into that Lionel Richie party because I think it would have been awesome.
Well, we were jealous because at our wedding, we only were able to get Bobby McFerrin.
I just remember at our wedding.
He opened and closed, but don't worry, be happy.
At our wedding, we had hired this DJ and we actually dictated the list of what could be played. But there was a period of time where he had to vamp. Because
our cocktail list ran out because we were
taking too long with the photos
getting our
or
pictures
something.
taken, except pictures of my family.
Which is a whole other situation.
Yeah.
Also, I didn't like any of the post photos. Whatever. Yeah. I only liked the candids and whatever.
Candids are the best.
So anyway, he vamped and then I think at one point he played
he played a song, and then Jessica Chaffin, our dear friend Jessica Chaffin
from Ask Rana,
came up to you, I believe, and said, he's playing Your Body is a Wonderland. Did you want this to happen?
Yeah. And she kind of said it like she knew it wasn't.
Of course.
She was like, he's playing Your Body is a Wonderland. Do you want me to say something?
Should I say something?
Do you want me to say something?
Yeah.
And I was like, what the fuck is happening? No, this is not on a list. Nothing again.
Just like, dude, start the list over again. You know what I mean?
Or also,
if we run out of songs, start the list over again.
Like, obviously,
who cares?
If I bet I heard it through the grapevine on the list, like, find another song in the I heard it through the grapevine, like, world. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yes.
Like, it doesn't have to be John Mayer.
There's a lot of steps you can go
like
to.
you could have played I'm going to the chapel. I mean, like anything. Like there are so many like standards that people want to hear.
To the chapel and there's gonna be Lionel Richie.
I was so mad, and I was like, "Oh, we could have gone to that wedding. I just know it." And then that guy. So I guess he nailed the vaccine rollout. Fine, good for him.
Mm-hmm.
But he did say Obama was not welcome in his state, which I did not like.
When did he say this? Recently?
Like, yeah. Like when 45 was still...
Post-Obama presidency.
Yes.
Jesus Christ.
Because he was all up 45's ass, and he got all that. Yeah. He got all that money.
Yeah.
He got all that... he got a bunch of like COVID money right off. Maybe that's how he was able to get the vaccines in it. Whatever. Listen, God love him because he vaccinated my dad.
God love him.
And and my 90-year-old happy birthday, Aunt Peggy. You know, I don't know what his deal is.
This is all to say happy birthday, Aunt Peggy.
This is all about our weird experience at this Oh, but I also didn't tell everyone this part was that our room it felt very old in a good way, in a cool way.
Yeah, yes.
Everything about it was awesome.
I wouldn't say that. I would say that I did like that it felt original. It felt like an old building. It didn't feel like
so old.
You know, it had character to it in that way, you know.
And there were two toilets. There was like one in one room and one in another. Why are you shaking your head no?
No, I'm not shaking my I'm not shaking my head. No.
What are you shaking? What is that?
I'm shaking my head in disbelief. It's still the strangest thing.
It was an old timey thing, and I didn't understand it. And then,
because here's the thing, I have stayed in many hotel rooms of varying degrees.
Yes, I know, and I've been with you for some of them.
Yes,
for many of them.
I've stayed in very nice hotels. I've stayed in very terrible hotels.
Remember in San Francisco, that fucking place. In San Francisco.
Oh, that's a whole other.
What's that place called? The club quarters or whatever.
Oh, that place. Oh, I was thinking of another place. The club quarters is like a fine businessman hotel.
It is not fine.
It's fine. It's fine. It's like do you need a place to go sleep? This place has got you covered.
It feels like a youth hostel with your own bathrooms.
I don't feel that. I feel like that the club quarters is very clean and featureless. You know what I mean?
It's depressing.
It's not joy-inspiring, not at all.
At least the Greenbrier has flowers on the wallpaper. Okay. That I like that. Okay. That's why I liked it more, because I like the aesthetic of the Greenbrier because it's this old.
Yes.
Okay, I'll get into that in a minute.
But yeah, this place had a bathroom, and then it had like a little powder room.
In a single hotel room with one bed.
We were like in a suite. It was very strange.
But then what was crazy, this was the craziest thing, I took a video of it, and I hope I can find it for Instagram.
Okay.
When you flush the toilet, it was like it led to another vortex.
It led to another vortex.
I had never seen a more powerful toilet flush
It was
my life.
A furious flush.
Like,
furious.
They don't even I guarantee you they don't have to clean those toilets.
It was an angry flush. Pressure
wash themselves. Like, it was insane. Like, I could not believe.
Why don't let's act it out. You like press the handle, and then I'll imitate the toilet.
Okay. Could you? I loved this. Wait, but I just wanted to get to the aesthetic. So the reason I was like sort of like interested and enamored with going to the Greenbrier is that it has this crazy like aesthetic that was designed by this woman named Dorothy Draper.
Yes.
And she was like kind of like one of the first prominent female interior designers that became super successful. And I want to say like in the 30s or something, like whenever that era was when she was, or maybe the 20s or something, 20s and 30s.
Yeah.
And it is kind of like she's an interesting character and figure in her own right. and her designs are very bold and feminine.
Very bold.
And cool. And so I like it. Well, because they're feminine. I mean, they're like florally and
they feel very old lady to me.
I feel like they feel like kind of like cool, young, preppy.
Wow.
Because of the pink and green thing, maybe. And like that was like a big thing in the 80s. But I don't know. Like I think it's interesting. Personally, I like the aesthetic, but maybe it's because I like old lady stuff.
Look, Janie loves old ladies.
I mean,
that's her jam.
Why not?
Why not? Somebody's got to love them. Hey, if you're an old lady listening to this, we love you. We got to take a break. We'll be right back.
Listen to our sponsors.
Do you believe in magic? Spoon. Hey, it's Paul. With the new year, we are all trying to eat better. Yes, all of us. But healthy breakfast doesn't have to be boring. Magic Spoon, magic, the opposite of boring. Magic Spoon has the amazing flavors you love, but without the bad stuff. Now, this is big, big news for me personally. Magic Spoon has released a brand new variety pack now featuring peanut butter. Let me tell you something. When I was a kid, my favorite sugary cereal was a nautical elephant themed peanut butter cereal. I don't know if I'm allowed to mention it, but it was my absolute favorite. So I'm very excited about this. Magic Spoon released peanut butter as a limited edition flavor in 2020, and it sold out 3 times. Peanut butter has gotten so much love, rightfully so, my editorializing, that they've decided to keep it permanent and add it to the bestsellers variety pack, which also includes frosted, fruity, and cocoa. There is 0 sugar, 13 to 14 grams of protein, and only 4 net grams of carbs in each serving, and only 140 calories a serving. Plus, it's keto-friendly, gluten-free, grain-free, soy-free, low-carb, and GMO-free. I would have put all the frees together. That's not my place. All right, so I'm excited to try this peanut butter. I cannot wait. I've liked all the Magic Spoon flavors so far. I missed peanut butter when it came out last year. I would have been all over that. So this is great news for me. And guess what? For you. Go to magicspoon.com/homekins to grab a variety pack and try it today. And be sure to use our promo code HOMEKINS, HOMEKINS, at checkout to save $5 off your order. Magic Spoon is so confident in their product, it is backed with a 100% happiness guarantee. If you don't like it for any reason, they'll refund your money. No questions asked. Remember, get your next delicious bowl of guilt-free cereal at magicspoon.com/homekins and use the code HOMEKINS to save $5 off. Thank you, Magic Spoon, for sponsoring this episode.
Do you guys know about Audible? Go get that Audible app ASAP because it is the leading provider of spoken word entertainment and audiobooks, ranging from bestsellers and new releases to celebrity memoirs, languages, business, motivation, and more, like original entertainment. And now, podcasts. They have just recently launched their newest membership plan, Audible Plus. With Audible Plus, you get full access to their Plus catalog, which is filled with thousands and thousands of select originals, audiobooks, and podcasts, including ad-free versions of popular shows as well as exclusive series. Look, you can listen while working from home, cooking, exercising, on a walk, as a family activity, or just relaxing. Listening helps people feel connected and inspired. Frankly, I like to listen when I'm doing housework. I actually listen to John Hodgman's Vacation Land that way. Visit audible.com/homekins or text homekins to 500-500 to start your free 30-day trial. That's audible.com/homekins or text homekins to 500-500 for a free 30-day trial.
We're back.
Oh my God.
Oh my God. Can you believe it? Ermagerd.
Ermagerd is one of my favorite responses to something.
It's pretty good. It's pretty good.
I
think it stood the test of time.
I do it in all caps. Like crazy.
You use it sparingly though. I don't think
you don't send me a lot of Ermagerd things, but
I haven't sent you things that are Ermagerd worthy.
No.
Hmm.
No.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
Anyway, how crazy was that story though about the crazy that crazy fancy resort we stayed with? I just like honestly
I like this summation. Anyway, how crazy was that story?
It was just crazy
told?
because it was like this. I was like this place that loomed large, like in my growing up imagination, and it was so strange. And
that's true for me. I had no context for it. Do you know what I mean?
And I thought I think it's a pretty place.
I think it's
a pretty place.
It's not.
It's beautiful, like gardens and flowers, and like it has like lots of that.
Absolutely.
I don't know. I like weird places though. Like I'm pretty like into the weirdness of it.
Let's get into some of these weird places you like.
What is like the weirdest
journey?
Like in terms, like what is the weirdest place you've ever spent the night?
Oh my God. The weirdest place I've ever spent the night? Oh man, I don't know.
Have you ever like gone to bed somewhere where you're like, I don't feel safe here? And then you like eventually fall asleep?
No, but I will. I've had the opposite. Here's a thing that I have is that I think it is the reason that I am drawn to like small boats or little cabins or things like that. There's something about being like just protected enough in a place to be cozy.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
Where it's like there's just enough heat in here from this fire or whatever, and I have these blankets and this will be okay. There's something about that I don't know where it comes from.
Well, of course that feels very hygge. Is that how you say
Hygge?
Hygge? You guys know about hygge?
But it's not just being cozy. It's being cozy in sort of extreme circumstances. If that
like
makes
a cabin
sense.
in the woods where a bear could come up at your inside.
A bear could come up in your insides and then forget it.
I did see a headline. Oh my God, you just reminded me of a headline I saw today about a woman who was attacked by a bear in her outhouse from below.
Wait, what?
Believe it or not, I did not click on the article. But I feel like I got enough information from just the headline.
Oh, yeah. What more do you need? It's like The Onion. Like, look, The Onion there will be an article under the headline that you can read and it will also be funny.
The headline is everything.
But if you don't read the article, you're fine. You still got a good laugh.
Now that I'm thinking about it, like The Onion has created clickbait headline. They were the originators.
It's true. It's very true.
Speaking of being warm and cozy, our hearts go out to our Southwest friends.
Man.
Some of you might know, I actually spent time in Texas. I went to acting school there. I went to like a professional actor training program that has led me nowhere. But I spent time there in Dallas, and I have a lot of connections now to Texas because of the time that I lived there. And I've been hearing from my friends all week who have been luckily able to kind of weather this storm situation. For those of you who don't know, maybe international listeners, there was a terrible winter storm that really just ravaged the middle of America this whole week. And it turns out that the electric grid in Texas was not equipped or able to withstand the kind of extreme weather that climate change is now bringing to many parts of the world. And 4 million people were left without any power in very frigid temperatures. And now, like, their water supply is impacted. People are under, like, boil notice, and they're running out of water and supplies. Yeah. And obviously, there's many unhoused people in the area that have, there have been fatalities from this. And our hearts and have been broken by it, and I've been keeping tabs on everyone, and we hope everyone's okay in that area. But such a preventable catastrophe.
Yeah, I know.
And it's been such a it's a difficult thing to process when you're seeing these people suffer and know that there's nothing you can do. And I don't know. I just
I want to praise the people that are organizing on the ground out there and doing Beto O'Rourke and is doing wellness checks of seniors. He's got a phone network set up where people are checking in on people.
So big, man.
Texas is vast. And here's the thing.
Oh, and we have some Canadian friends that got stuck there on their way back.
Yes.
But yeah.
But I want to say this, that everyone that I've ever known, I think I can say this across the board. Everyone I've ever known from Texas, or the people that I know that live in Texas now, are wonderful people.
Oh yeah,
and they're good, decent people. And so I know there's a temptation to say, if you don't like the people that represent Texas in government, or the people that have caused this to happen the way it's happened, I know there's a temptation to say, hey, Texas, you get what you deserve. You should have done something different, whatever. Right. I'm seeing so much of that online.
I don't like it.
And it's like, look, you can't just make that place all one thing any more than you can make any other place all one thing. Well, wherever you live, there's all different types of people. Whoever votes for who, there's all different types of people. Yeah. So please know that when you're saying, hey, Texas, you deserve this, there's a lot of people there that don't deserve this.
Well, here we are in California, and there were a lot of people who got really upset because in the summer, when we were having our terrible wildfires here, and we have them frequently, and it's not just here, it's in Arizona, Oregon, it's, a lot of the West. They were doing, during the heat waves, sort of rolling blackouts and stuff, and some of the Texas politicians were going online and tweeting things like, California is such a piece of shit place. They don't even know how.
It was Ted Cruz. One of the most.
I'm sure he wasn't the only one, though, because
he wasn't the only one. But let's say this: he was the worst one. Ted Cruz, one of the most.
He might be the dumbest.
One of the most sniveling worms that has ever been elected to public office.
Also, by the way, he just ruined his career because he left Houston. His house was cold. This is my favorite thing that maybe happened this week. Not that Texas got cold, but that his house was cold, and he decided to go to Cancun, and people
got caught.
People
blamed it on his daughters. Yeah.
They're like, how can you leave your constituents in the biggest crisis? And by the way, people have been comparing this crisis to Katrina because it's a failure of infrastructure.
Absolutely. Because
Katrina, it wasn't just the storm that hit, it was the breaching of the levees that flooded, so I don't know if people outside of America who listen, understand that Katrina was this disaster that happened after the fact almost Yeah. And then people were stranded there in the Superdome and on tops of their roofs without water. Mm-hmm. And it was actually one of those things where we were all watching on our televisions, not in New Orleans in that area, in horror, because we were like, I don't understand why they can't get water to these people. I don't understand why they can't save these people. It was like a slow motion horror movie.
Well, anytime anything like that happens in America, and not just a natural disaster, but the aftermath of it, and what do people do about it?
And the failure of the system.
Yes, when the system fails, it just seems like this is absurd that in this, insanely wealthy nation that there's this much it's
dysfunction or whatever.
It's not that crazy when you think about it because we're a racist country. Anyway,
but also Cruz, we don't like to invest in. This is another thing.
No, because it's somebody else's problem.
But also, it goes to the COVID stuff too. We don't like to invest in things that are intangible. We don't like to prepare for the unknown.
Well, because here's what it is. It's people that are never going to have to face any kind of situation like Katrina or being freezing cold in Houston out of nowhere.
Right.
Because they always have a way out and they always have a thing that they can do to make themselves comfortable.
But
And
also,
so they cannot imagine the suffering that other people are going to go through. And they also don't care.
But it's definitely that. But there's also this other layer to it of like, it's an unsexy thing that doesn't score you political points. Like if you're like, I'm going to be the president that prepares like for a pandemic or whatever,
Yes.
there's no payoff unless there's a fucking pandemic while you're in office.
Yeah, but here's the thing.
Does that make sense?
It makes sense, but you don't have to run on that. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
That could be just something you decide, oh, that's good to do, and we should take care of that, you know? And now, but here's the thing. I also think Ted Cruz will get reelected. I don't think this is the end of his career.
I do. I think, okay, so he was caught for going to Cancun and then
South Carolina welcomed Mark Sanford back. He just went a different way.
I mean, maybe, but he didn't really stay. He didn't have any staying power. But also, he didn't leave in the middle.
No, because he sucks.
He didn't leave in the middle of a crisis, though.
No, he didn't leave in the middle of a crisis, but he was. He did spend taxpayer money to do his dumb fucking affair.
He had to pay it back.
Yeah.
Thank God.
Right. But he also, and he lied about it extensively.
He lied about it.
Yeah.
And he humiliated his wife and kids.
Yeah.
By the way, I read Jenny Sanford's
Now, if you want to
memoir.
If you want to talk about humiliating wife and kids, let's talk about this Ted Cruz guy.
All right, so the Ted Cruz thing was so crazy when he God, and then he came back and he lied about it. And this is maybe the best part of the whole Ted Cruz story, in my personal opinion. Heidi Cruz, like all of us, is on a text thread with her friends.
This is how we're similar. Look, like all of us, Heidi Cruz is on a text thread with her friends.
This hopefully is where it ends because on her text thread, she's like, y'all, it's fucking cold as a witch's tit. Let's go down to fucking Mexico and drink some margaritas. Fuck this noise. And then they were all like, oh, yeah, well, I have like, my elderly mom to take care of or whatever, but, yeah, no. So they all said no. And then they go to fucking Cancun.
Yeah, I'm not a professional grifter. I don't know.
Maybe it's not a good time. Maybe whatever. Someone on her fucking thread leaked the texts to the New York Times. And I mean, that's the scandal right there. And if you ask me.
Who is the whistleblower?
Because I went on all my text threads and I was like, y'all, if you leak this, anything I fucking say in the New York Times, like, please don't sell me out because I say shit on my text threads that's like not cool it's not for the consumption.
You are incendiary on those text threads.
Like I say stuff on the text threads.
What are you talking about?
I'll send a meme, and write, LOL, this is the funniest thing I've ever seen, but I'm not going to post that on my Twitter. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to post that on my Twitter. But like, can you imagine if somebody leaked your text threads to the fucking New York Times?
Can you imagine being friends with Ted and Heidi Cruz?
I don't know. I mean,
it is funny that these conservative people all have, there's some female friend that is always waiting to sell them out.
Right, like Melania.
Yes, some female friend.
Look, I read.
It's like I record all my conversations.
God, now that I'm talking about all these memoirs I've read, I'm kind of embarrassed, but I don't watch Real Housewives or whatever. So I guess that's my Real Housewives is that I read Jenny Sanford's revenge memoir.
Right.
I read Stephanie Winston's revenge memoir about Melania.
Uh-huh.
I'm trying to think who else's revenge memoir I've read. It'll come to me, I'm sure. I'm sure there's some other revenge memoirs.
Did you read the OJ book? If I did it, here's how I would have done it. Isn't that?
No, I didn't read that because I don't need to read his book, but I read, and that, because I did listen to the podcast that was put together by Kim Goldman, Ronald Goldman's sister.
Yeah.
Ronald Goldman, who was murdered by O.J. Simpson. And that they sued him.
Was his dad's name Ron too?
I think so.
Guy with the mustache.
Yeah, I think so. And anyway, her podcast was really interesting. I actually, I know we're not in the recommendations phase, but if you haven't heard, I think it's called Facing OJ or something, or Facing, it's kind of her own reckoning with this trauma. Because I think, we have examined this OJ thing through so many lenses.
The two of us, yes.
Our other podcasts about it.
Did we forget to tell you about our OJ podcast?
I admired the bravery of her putting that podcast together because I think it was such a trauma on, here are these people who are not in the public eye.
Yeah.
Who don't even live in LA.
Right.
And they have just been completely victimized by the loss of and by all accounts, their loved one, it was so lovely, like a lovely person that was here chasing his dreams, as an actor. He was just a young person that happened to be at the wrong place at the wrong time in this ugly, sordid, situation, and he lost his life. And, these people, they didn't want to exploit this tragedy or kind of profit from it in any way. They just wanted to heal. They wanted justice and they wanted to heal, and they didn't get justice.
Yeah.
And, but anyway, so many years later, she did this podcast that I recommend because it's not really just about that event in her life, but it's about in a way, moving on and finding resilience past, this thing. I forgot why I got on the topic of that because we were talking about text threads.
Ted and Heidi Cruz.
The revenge memoirs. Because you asked me.
Yes.
So my point was he was not really allowed to write that book. OJ.
Correct.
I don't think, because he lost in a civil trial.
He wasn't allowed to profit off of.
Yes.
Right.
Because even though he was acquitted, and honestly, the OJ Made in America docuseries, it's unreal.
Yes.
You have to watch it, and it will explain all of it. And it had nothing really to do with any of the events with the murder of Nicole Simpson and Ron Goldman, but
it's about so much more than just that case.
The context of it is everything.
Yes. It's fascinating.
But so even though he was acquitted in a legal case where he was being charged with murder,
yes,
he was actually found liable in a wrongful death. Is that a thing? Civil.
That sounds right. Yeah.
In a civil case,
yes,
brought by the families that held him responsible. And I believe that case basically meant he was to pay damage. It was a form of punishment other than jail.
Yeah. He had to pay damages to the family.
He had to pay damages. Yeah. So the idea of that book, if you were to purchase that book, I do believe the money does not go to him. But I didn't read. I mean, I was not. And she talks about that on the podcast.
Yeah, it's a crazy fuck you. That's okay, if I have to,
it's delusional.
I have to send you money. How about I write a book?
It's delusional to think that it's delusional to be I got away with murder. I also wonder in his mind if he actually believes he did not commit the murders.
I mean, I wouldn't doubt it. I mean,
is that a possibility?
We talked about this on Freedom. My here's why.
Oh, you did? You talked about OJ?
Well, yes. We talked about that OJ Made in America series because not only was there the the history of the racist, the
racist
systemic
cops.
racism in California, in Los Angeles. It goes back a long, long way.
Yes.
Way before, Rodney King. It's
totally.
It's LA was founded on this.
Yes.
And so the series examines like all the things that led up to the OJ case.
Yes.
Why he was probably acquitted. But also they do touch on the fact that OJ was a football player and that he
was
regularly
handsome and rich and
but he was also in a crazy like a very violent contact sport.
That one documentary we watched, the Aaron Hernandez thing that shed a light on how their brains get damaged by playing.
Yes.
This like concussions happen. But I don't remember that necessarily coming up so much in OJ in terms of like his brain damage.
Maybe I'm conflating it with the Aaron Hernandez thing.
But now that you're mentioning it, there has to be a connection.
But I know people have talked about OJ's possible CTE before because it's like, I think for most football players, it's probably inescapable,
And also, I just saw this story about this one ex-football player who beat up his girlfriend. Did you see that?
Yes.
I actually tweeted about it last week because I saw her. But she was on the news telling her story, and honestly, it was so upsetting because, they were in this very loving relationship and very, very close. And he suddenly just like turned on her, like just turned on her and almost killed her. And he's like 10 times her size.
Of course. And
she barely survived. And then afterward, he went in the other room and made a smoothie and came back in and said, "Oh, you're still alive?"
Oh, Jesus
and she was
Christ.
like crawling to the bathroom to like call for help. And this is on CBS this morning, which is my news station of choice. Sorry. Big Gail King fan. So Gail was like interviewing her no, it wasn't Gail who was interviewing, but anyway, whatever. She's like going after him, she's like, "No, I think he deserves to be in jail." And, they were like, "Well, do you believe his condition, like his mental condition, like contributed to this and he didn't know what he was doing?" And she was like, "I can't answer that because when the cops came, his demeanor was very different toward them than it was toward me in this incident."
Right.
And that has to be like the scariest form of gaslighting of like, wait a minute, did he go crazy or not?
Yeah.
If he can speak lucidly about, it's a very mysterious thing. And I'm not letting OJ off the hook because he clearly had this history of being a batterer.
Yeah.
But anyway, interesting that you mentioned Rodney King because there's a new docuseries coming out at the end of this month that I'm very interested in watching about the Rodney King stuff because I didn't live in California then. I was young, I was too young. I mean, I was like probably in like grade school or something when all that happened. And I'm curious, like even though they touched on it in the OJ Made in America, like I don't think I totally fully understand because some of the footage I was seeing for the preview for this docuseries that's coming out, I think it's called Boiling Point or something. It's on my list of to watch that's coming out this month. I mean, you look at some of the footage that they were showing and it reminds you of like the George Floyd stuff this summer.
Yeah.
Like it literally is just like history repeating itself like over and over and like no one listening to this problem, this systemic problem. It's like, I don't understand why it's so scary to face or scary to look at or why it's like people don't want to accept it. And I wonder if it's because we're raised from a tiny little age to respect authority and not question authority somehow or like.
Well, there's that. And there's also the just implicit white supremacy in our country that we benefit from. And people don't, I've said this a million times. People don't want to feel like they're the bad guy, and they can't, they have a hard time processing discovering that they are part of a bad system that enriches them or benefits them. They have a hard time discovering that and admitting that they benefit from that.
Right.
And then reconciling in their mind, like, that must mean I'm supposed to say I'm a bad guy.
Or not only that, I think what it is like a primal fear of like, even if you don't have to say, oh, I'm a bad guy, you like, there's a fear of like, if I admit that I'm benefiting from this system and I speak out against this system, then I also will become like somehow not benefiting from anything.
Oh, that's a whole other, that's like the deepest fear is
the deepest fear is like, I'm become oppressed. If I don't get on the side of the oppressor,
then I'll be the minority. That's what they're all worried about.
So if I'm not on the side of the oppressor, then I'm going to be oppressed, and I have to like,
you will not replace us.
And
that's
so
what it's all
I'm
about.
in the middle of this thing, and so I'm just like fearful. But the thing is, the whole thing is a myth because, and there's this woman who has this book out, and I forgot what it's called, but it just came out. Heather, her name's Heather something. I'm messing this up, but she talks about, the book is about how society would benefit literally economically, like every, like, you know, like a rising tide lifts all boats.
Yeah.
You know how a rising tide lifts all boats.
Yeah.
And so she went on this journey to like basically examine racism in America and why so many white people have like, if like, in other words, like we can't have nice things in America because white people are scared that black people will replace them.
Mm-hmm.
So like when they segregated the pools, and then they said, no, black people pay taxes too. And so we have to integrate these government funded public pools. Instead of keeping the pools open, they drained all the pools because they didn't want to share it with black people. Yeah. So in other words, like instead of sharing the pools with other races, they decided it was better for nobody to have the pool.
Absolutely.
For nobody to, and this was just like a metaphor in a way and she wrote this whole book and did this whole study about it. And she's trying to educate people that really like this mindset is not, it's not helping anyone, like even white people. Like it doesn't help anyone.
No. Yeah, exactly.
Which is like, but you're brainwashed into thinking like, oh my gosh, we have to keep black people out of our pools.
Mm-hmm.
So let's just not have pool. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like whatever.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's an interesting thing to think about, but I'm going to watch the shit out of that Rodney King thing. And I'm going to watch the shit out of that Woody Allen expose.
Oh no.
What? Are you kidding?
I know. I might watch it. I just like it's hard to gear up to watch these unpleasant things.
That's all I care about watching. I want to watch all of these things.
Honey.
I love watching these.
You love unpleasant things.
I like to learn about the nuance of American life. Like it is so crazy.
Do you think you're going to get that from the Woody Allen thing?
Yes, because I also think I read a good review about it by this guy, Ben Travers, who I actually met in real life.
Of course.
You know Ben?
Yes.
I follow him on Twitter, but I've met him at some of the Netflix functions.
Yes, absolutely.
Anyway, he wrote a very interesting piece about the docuseries, kind of like examining this again, like the system that fails these children. Yes. You know, you're looking at a situation where adults can weaponize things. In that situation, I don't think that was the case.
Like Ted Cruz blaming his daughters for going to Cancun.
Yeah. So how do you separate you have to always like err on the side of the child, right?
Yes, you have to err on the side of the child.
I can't believe you fed me this red wine tonight. This has gotten me
feed you anything.
This is not my normal weekend water, y'all. And
let me tell you something. You dove right in. Our friends
deep in
Ben
my
and Julie.
cups right
our
now.
friends Ben and Julie dropped off.
How am I gonna
what
edit this?
was essentially our dinner, which was
she made that homemade bread.
She made some homemade bread. I mean, we're lucky people.
Cheeses
we're very lucky people
because of our neighbors.
To have wonderful neighbors and friends. Yes, but we had snacks for dinner.
But she brought us this bottle of wine,
and we fucking cracked it right open.
I haven't been I don't do the wine so much anymore.
I know this is very rare for you
because it's a situation.
It's a situation.
Why don't you tell some things you want to recommend? I've already talked about my future recommendations and my past recommendations.
I would like to recommend 2 movies that we watched and enjoyed greatly. They could not be more opposite.
We have to give a quick warning. You might have to be a subscriber of HBO, and you might have to rent.
Yeah, no, I'll tell.
Okay.
We always tell people where the things are. Yeah,
I know, but there's money involved.
Yes, of course. And look, we do recommend things that cost money sometimes, but we also recommend a lot of free stuff too. Like there's plenty of podcasts that we've recommended. Like we're just bringing them to you as we consume them.
And hopefully this podcast is free.
It is free.
The one that you're listening to. This one.
Our podcast is free. And
there you go.
And we're not goop.
We're
not. All we're doing is we're bullshitting for an hour, and then at the end we say, "Here's some shit we watched."
We don't get free placenta serums.
Okay.
Yet.
Okay, honey. Okay. Okay.
I do have some wrinkles.
Okay. Okay. Now you're getting.
If you want to send,
honey.
Baby placenta serum.
If you want to, you know what? All jokes aside, if you want to send baby placenta serum, we'll take it. So 2 movies that we watched last week: Judas and the Black Messiah. Absolutely amazing movie.
Fucking intense as fuck.
Really intense, but so incredibly directed. All the performances across the board are fantastic. And it is part of our American history.
It's about Fred Hampton.
Yeah, Fred Hampton, the Black Panthers. It's in the fucking FBI. So that is a great movie. And the other one was Barb and Star Go to Vista Del Mar.
Y'all, the shit. Okay, this one costs money. It's like $19.99 to rent.
This is like one of those where it's like if you were to go to the movies. Barb and Star Go to Vista Del Mar. We laughed all the way through this movie.
First of all,
like big laughs constantly.
First of all, not one joke was left on the table. Every joke got its payoff.
Everything pays off. Everybody's great in it.
The tightness of this script.
It's so funny. And
also,
it's like
Kristen Wiig is always great. And Annie Mumolo is so
she's fantastic.
Fun.
This movie, it's a comedy, but it's just silly. It's like almost like an Austin Powers in that vein. You know what I mean? Where it's just silly. It's hilarious. It's not broy. It's not trying to be uber cool. It is just funny.
But I will say this, in addition, in terms of how it was directed, I loved the art direction. Like it had fun colors.
Absolutely.
And everything was thought through in a way that was loving.
Yeah. It's great.
The people who were making this movie cared about its audience so much that I feel very happy that they presented this to the world.
Yeah. It was absolutely terrific. So that's our I'm going to say that's our recommendations.
I have one more recommendation that's free.
Okay.
So I started this podcast, true crime podcast, called Mommy Doomsday. And you'll love to hear it. Keith Morrison of Dateline is hosting this. And so already you're on board, right?
But why would I host the podcast? And for how much money?
It's free. So
No, how much money does he get?
I hope a lot of money because he has given us so much. And Mommy Doomsday is about that crazy Mormon couple. I know you saw the Dateline on it, y'all. Where the kids...
Don't play like you didn't.
It happened right before the pandemic where the kids were missing and the couple went to fucking Hawaii and the FBI was like, where are your fucking kids? And the family was like, where are your fucking kids? And they were like, I don't care and I don't know. And they were like, you need to tell us where your fucking kids are. And they were like, fuck y'all. And then they were like, oh, the kids are not here anymore. So y'all are arrested.
I hope that's how they said it to them.
And then they were like...
kids are not here anymore, so y'all are arrested.
And then they were like, okay, where are your previous spouses while we're at it? And why were you buying wedding bands before...
Okay, don't give too much away, honey. Don't give too much away. Don't give too much away.
Also, by the way, I'm not because first of all, that Dateline's been out for a year.
Right.
Okay.
I'm just trying to wrap it up.
Mommy Doomsday.
Mommy Doomsday. And to all you Mommy Doomsdays out there, thank you for listening.
Thanks for our emails. We got a lot. stayfhomekins@gmail.com.
We are stayfhomekins on Twitter and Instagram, stayfhomekins@gmail.com. Please write to us if you like. We love hearing from you.
Paul does like to put the reference photos of I don't think you did this week. You got too busy.
I didn't do this week. This was a shitty week, and so I didn't do it. There you go. Sometimes I'll do it.
A lot of times he does it.
Most times I'll do it.
A lot of times he does it.
Most times I'll do it.
But this week, it was not happening.
Not a great week. Everything's fine. Everything's fine.
Everything's fine.
Just, just one of those weeks. That's all.
There's stuff happening.
So we are going to be back next week. Thank you so much for listening. And until...
Y'all, take care of yourselves.
Take care of yourselves. And until next week,
stay safe,
stay sane, and stay home.